it's a very strong possible future. If you look at the course of human history, there are two forms that power takes, if you like. The dominant one, the common one, which we're all familiar with, is territory, where if you are the king or
Yeah.
the emperor, you exercise power over a defined and delimited area of the planet's surface, and also over the people who happen to live on that space. Now, the other model of power, which you get with, say, the medieval church, or with a lot of other institutions historically, and with leagues of city-states, is one where the territorial element is much, much less. What matters is the network. And so it's the network of links between people, say in the Catholic Church, say, for example. Sure, it does own land, but the Catholic Church and the orders, like the Templars, the various monastic orders, although they own small bits of land, what really creates their power is the network and links between them, focused on the papacy. And that's the model we're moving to. And the key to it, I think, is the growing division, politically, economically, culturally, socially, between cities and particularly globally connected cities and the rest of the world. Now, if you look about the African continent, for example, if you look at the African economic figures by country, they look not very impressive. But if you look at cities, Africa has 20 of the world's most dynamic, fast-growing, innovative cities, places like Luanda, Nairobi, Lagos, Dakar. These are amazingly dynamic places, and they're some of the fastest growing places on the planet. The problem Africa has is that while it has some of the world's most successful and growing cities, the bits in between are not doing very well. But that's the same problem that you find in every country at the moment. So in Britain, London, extraordinarily dynamic and successful, creates more than half of Britain's total productivity comes out of London.
Yes.
But other parts of the country just languishing. Similarly, in the United States, the major metropolitan areas like Atlanta and Chicago, the Bay Area, LA, New York, amazingly economically dynamic. But then the bits in between, the rural areas, the small town areas that voted for Donald Trump, doing really badly, and in fact depopulating at an incredible rate. And so I think that what we're seeing is a growing tension between the territorial nation state, which is still the unit that everything is organized around, and the interlinked connection of global cities, which is where the world economy actually is. And that's also where the personal connections through the cyberspace links that you mentioned are also becoming much more strong. And so I think we're going to see a kind of big fight going forward in the coming century between those two different models of power and governance. What I hope is, and it goes back to the point I made earlier, I'd like to see big countries break up, is that we do indeed move to a world of networks, a world which is much more open, much more flexible, and where we have city regions as the basic unit. If you think about South Africa, I mean, economically, I would say it makes more sense to think of South Africa as consisting of, Greater Johannesburg, Greater Durban, East London maybe, and Cape Town, and Pretoria perhaps, although you might lump that with Greater Johannesburg, than as thinking as a whole single entity. It's really those big city regions that are the core of what we call misleadingly the South African economy. And it's the same in every other country in the world these days.